Well, hi, everybody. Let's check out what's going on with our weather pattern. And we're going to first start by looking at what's going on in the Pacific Ocean because it plays a key role oftentimes in our weather pattern. Down there in the Pacific Ocean off the South American coast, we look at water temperatures. If they're warmer than average, if they're warm, then that signals El Nino, and that can bring a lot of rain and storminess to the southern part of the country. But if it's cooler than average, the water temperatures down there are cooler than average, that's La Nina, and oftentimes that can bring storminess to parts of the country, but dry, warm weather over us. Now, we've been in a weak La Nina this winter, but the latest information suggests that we have kind of transitioned out of that, and we're kind of more to what we call a neutral. Means we're not really El Nino or La Nina. The water temperatures have kind of leveled themselves out here, and it will have an impact on the weather pattern. Oftentimes, when you're in transition in the spring season, it can lead to a stormier pattern, a stronger jet stream. But with this type of a pattern, oftentimes it can lead to weaker jet streams and weaker storm systems here. I'm not saying that that will be the key this year or the role this year, but it certainly is possible. As we head from in the mid to late spring into summer, we should stay right around that neutral category. Now, if we look at rainfall amounts, and this would be for North Texas, southern Oklahoma here, average rainfall on a day-to-day basis starting at today, which is March 26th, all the way into April on a day-to-day basis. This is an average. Remember, this is averaged out over a period of time. It doesn't look like much, but these numbers do go up here. Today, your average, again, averaged out over a period of time, 0.07, and you can see the numbers steadily go up to above a tenth of an inch by the end of April. April, on average, kind of the start of our wetter part of the year. Then May and early June would be the wettest time of the year. Let's hope that the weather pattern will favor some rain because we certainly do need it. We're below average on rainfall now, and any bit of rain we can get will be helpful because you know what happens as we get into summer. And that means hardly any day-to-day change in weather. We typically don't see much rain. It's usually very hot. And if we don't get some good rain in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, and it could be a really brutal upcoming summer here. Now, if we take a look at the jet stream here, this is where we kind of start by looking at the overall weather pattern. We're going to go from right now all the way into at least the early parts of April here. This would be on Friday. There is a storm center kind of out here showing a little dip in the jet stream, a couple of them out here in the Pacific Ocean. And when we get our bigger storm systems that are going to produce rain and storms here, you want to see a dip in the jet stream across the western part of the country. You get a storm system over this way, and then that's what swings eastward and gives us those rain and thunderstorm chances if everything can line up. Of course, a lot of times in late March, early April, you wind up seeing dry, hot air get pulled in from Mexico, or New Mexico rather, and you see the rain chances in the highlighted areas to the east. So that may be what happens this go around as well. We'll watch and see what happens. There's a little storm system approaching the area late Saturday and into Sunday. It doesn't have a bad look to it, but it looks like the energy with that's going to focus east of us. So that's probably where your rain chances will be with this system. It could even be some more severe weather, maybe over parts of the mid-south on Sunday here. Now, as we go out in time, and there again, it's on Sunday. There's that storm system. Over us, we kind of have a bit of a west-northwesterly flow aloft here, mostly a westerly flow aloft, and that's probably going to be mostly a dry weather pattern. But could see a decent front coming on the backside of that storm system. Let's put this in motion here, and here comes the next storm. Now, I will say that next week, that's not a real bad look to it. You got a nice dip here. You got southwesterly flow aloft, and just depending on how things can line up, especially if this thing can kind of intensify and kind of round itself off or close itself off, that might give us a better chance for some storms here. But at least looking at this information, this would suggest to me that your better storm chances would be probably south and east of us with this pattern here into next week. But it's something we'll keep an eye on. And there's other storm systems out here in the Pacific Ocean, but just kind of looking at long-range patterns into April, it doesn't really look super favorable for a lot of storminess and rain, at least in our part of the country. Of course, long-range forecasting, there is no skill in it. You just kind of look at patterns, past patterns, and what the patterns kind of look like, and you kind of make a guess at it. Sometimes we can get it right, sometimes we don't. But with the storm track, at least into early April, we'll watch over to the west a little bit, but it looks to me like your better storm chances with this type of a pattern would focus themselves maybe in eastern, southeastern parts of Texas, east of I-35, eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and kind of over in the Mid-South. Could be some bouts of severe weather over this way for us over here in a good part of the southern plains known as Tornado Alley. would be mostly dry and would show less active weather over us. That could lead to some fire weather concerns from time to time. But of course, I'll keep an eye on this, and if anything changes, we'll be sure to let you know here on my social media pages. So, little shower chance we had this morning, but if we look and kind of widen this satellite, look at all the cloudiness showing up across southern and central Texas into the Gulf Coast states, and you've got a lot of this back off to the west. There's a storm center. It's a pretty weak one. It isn't very strong. It's way down here in Mexico, and it's going to kind of focus its efforts for rain over here in central and south Texas, and then kind of move up along the Gulf Coast there. Up across North Texas and Oklahoma, we're on the northwest side of this. Well, I wouldn't expect a lot, maybe a little bit of a shower chance over the next couple of days, but widespread rain not looking likely. If you can take a look at some of our computer models, this is off the European. Into Friday, it shows most of that action staying just south and southeast. Now, Dallas, you might get some rain out of this, perhaps. And if I had to circle an area, I'd say probably Dallas, maybe up to the Bowie, Texas area eastward would see the best chances for rain with this system. And then, of course, over there into the Arklatex, you can see that system zipping on by. And that should lead to some drier conditions as we head into Saturday and the weekend. Now, over the weekend, with that storm system in there, it could be pretty hot on Saturday. Could see some temperatures well into the 90s across northern and western Texas, so we'll keep an eye on that too. Now, early on Sunday, as that next system kind of zips on by, could be some storminess well north and east of us, and then there could be some more storminess perhaps over here, maybe some severe weather too at that on Sunday. But again, none of that at least showing up in our area at this present time. We typically don't see an uptick in severe weather in our part of the country until you get into the middle to latter parts of April and into early to mid-May. And no, my kind of thinking right now is not a lot of severe weather events this year, but perhaps maybe a couple, and a few significant severe weather events certainly can't be ruled out before we get down, we transition into the summer time weather pattern later on. Of course, I'm hoping to delay that as long as we possibly can. But of course, we do get severe weather. You know the place to go right here on my social media pages here. As we keep an eye on that, we never hype everything. We just give you the information, and then we kind of go about our business. Special thanks to Service Master for making these possible here, and thank you for watching. And remember to hit that like, subscribe, follow, whatever button it is you need to do to get the weather information from myself.